All right. To discuss emerging cannabis opportunities in Slovenia. To lead this panel, a leading journalist, commentator, and talk show host. I want to make sure I get it right. Vida Petrocic. Close enough. Super.
So now I invite the other guests. The person who had a question, I ask you to prepare the question for this panel. Okay, so Luca Freyer, founder of Money 2, Petra Marinko, founder and owner of Pharma G Nabije, and Primož Zorec, manager and owner of Co-Green Dio. Okay. So, no, we don't need that mic because the fourth guest is not coming. Sasha Bailo got ill, so please, Primož Zorec, there is a mic for you. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
So, since you all come from the industry, let us start with the position. What do we have now in industry? What are your stories? What are your products? How do you see your specific? Maybe with you, Luca Freyer.
So I've entered the industry early, 2014, with a product that was meant for dispensing cannabis resin, precise dispenser. That led to a different, that evolved to a project in Macedonia where we have a license to grow medical cannabis. That led to the project in Slovenia, which involved purchase of a GMP facility in Koper. That later led to public offering on the UK stock market. That later led to Money2, which is the company I founded in 2019, and is now operating mostly in the space of, let's say, everyday use cannabis. So some people would call it recreational cannabis, some people would call it CBD cannabis, some people would call it cannabis, a whole cannabis, let's say, product from A to Z.
So what is your annual turnover? Is it a profitable business?
It's a profitable business, yes. After many years of struggling in the industry, this is actually profitable. And the turnover annual, we'll see. Last year was good, this year is better.
Mm-hmm. Regarding the legislation, as we heard, do the legislators need some monetary push, or what should we say? It's not corruption, but maybe some push from the industry, maybe some offerings of some bonuses. That's what we heard on the former roundtable, former panel.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, do you need to lobby?
Oh.
And finance the.
I believe lobbying is good.
Makers.
Yes, I've seen it. I've seen it done in the States. I've seen it done in different jurisdictions, like Czech Republic, where we're also moving part of our production. Lobbying definitely helps with the politicians, but in Slovenia you don't need to lobby with politicians. They're actually very willing to make changes, but unfortunately I think they don't have the power to beat the let's say the bureaucracy.
Okay, bureaucracy is an obstacle. Petra Marinko, founder and owner of Pharma G Nabije. What is your product?
We started 7 years ago, and we are creating. I'm saying creating because it's a process of creating things, and I love to wrap it like that. We're creating a bit of different kind of products with also hemp extract and also other botanical extracts. We do skincare, cosmetics, and food supplements. And we have quite a big range of different products that we have to offer to our customers.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that the potential cannabis industry should be unleashed in Slovenia? Are we too close? Do we need some whatever legislation change? What do we need? What do you need personally?
I think the cannabis stigma is getting unleashed finally, I think, because of events like this, talking about this in media. It's showing a lot in media these days. And I think that's really necessary for the, not only the business part, but also the healing part of the plant to proceed, also to educate also politicians and medical doctors and staff that works with this kind of things. From my opinion, Slovenia is really open for this kind of solutions that cannabis has to offer. But I would really be happy to see the regulation that comes within this, because on the market we can find a lot of things that shouldn't be there. Not only with cannabis, it's the same with other ingredients that show up in cosmetics and food supplements and so on, which shouldn't be there and are toxic and so on. It's ironically, the cannabis is always in front of the, to be understand where they talk about toxicity. But from what I've learned now, when we're in these 6 years that we're doing this, a lot of ingredients should be on the list before cannabis, because there are so many hormonal disruptors, so many cancerous ingredients that are in our everyday soaps and products that we use every day that should be really banned, not the cannabis that can only help.
Why is that so?
Well, it's not for me to say, probably, but pharma industry is one of the things that probably is stopping the business to grow. And also cosmetic business is really, really hard and really profitable. And everything goes, at the end, it's all about the profit. So cosmetic industries are using products, are using ingredients that are the cheapest because they can, and it's allowed to. And doing harmful things to people that are using that is not even a question, because it doesn't bring a profit. It's really expensive to do this, so we've experienced it.
So your products are in the field of cosmetics, and you're actually taking some market share from the cosmetic industry.
Well,
you're attacking that.
Yeah, we're not taking the big market share from the cosmetic business, but we narrowed down to be a niche in niche. So if I can say that, because we are niche using cannabis, which is not that common, and we are also niche for using for doing clean products and non-toxic in any way. So every ingredient that we use is tested. We don't use any hormonal disruptors. No, our products don't use ingredients that cause allergies and so on. So
what's your annual turnaround?
It's hard to say, because I'm not looking for it as annual turnover. When I started this company, I started it with a long-term goal, and we're not there yet. I have to admit that, but I'm still positive and thinking that we can come to the goal that we put on the table 6 years ago, and hopefully think about this.
Okay, we will talk about obstacles later, but Primož Zurec, what is your success story?
Well, I can correlate a little bit with my colleagues before, because my mission is to make people's living and working environment better, but we are, let's say, we're looking from a perspective of the whole plant. We use the straw. That means basically we use fibers, and we are working in the field of building industry. So we are offering to our clients whole hemp-based building solutions, means houses made of natural materials, leading insulating with hempcrete and hemp insulation. So we also want to like flower part. We also want to make want to make a better health for people, because if you take a look from this perspective that we spend our lifetime 70% in indoor, basically. So there is opposite of that. So we have a building industry which promotes materials that could be probably cheaper because of the economy of scale now. But they are very harmful for the people living in it and for the environment. We can see from the construction side, we can see from the, let's say, from the perspective of life cycle assessment, that which waste, construction waste, is a big problem nowadays. And we have to use, because this multi-purpose plant, we have to use it all. So it's crucial that we connect to each other, and we start systematically we approach to legislation, because also in our building industry, the current regulatives are more, let's say, more on more connected to, let's say, materials that are currently in a mass building industry production. So natural materials work differently, like cannabis works differently. Also, houses made with natural materials work differently. So our vision is that we spread as much as possible our business model and to help establish the industry which is needed. So bioindustry is the base of everything.
Since industrial cannabis is allowed in Slovenia, do you have any proposals for then any legislative changes?
Industrial hemp we have no problems with that, but we don't have resources, let's say quality resources of fibers in Slovenia. Legislative it's different area, because building industry parameters are very, very strict, but they don't have established processes to create some kind of regulatives for natural materials like hemp, etc. So this is a gap, how to prepare the base for the building with hemp.
Luca Fryer, the pharmaceutical industry did find some niche in this field regarding synthetic cannabinoids. So what do they mean on the market?
So synthetical, I mean,
Hemp
if you're referring to, let's say, dronabinol, a form of THC that you can get in pharmacies, which is synthetically processed CBD to get a pure substance, which is then delta-9 THC. There is also, I mean, this is something that's okay in the pharmaceutical industry, but we're seeing now on the market in Europe there's a big, let's say, impact, or a big massive turnover is happening on the market of also synthetic cannabinoids, which are substitutes for THC. They also derive from CBD, most of them. And the government started pretty much not regulating them, but banning them, you know. Opposed to Czech Republic, which actually decided to regulate them, because these are the only cannabinoids these cannabinoids are not considered and are not listed in the treaty, the United Nations treaty. So Czech Republic saw an opportunity to regulate these cannabinoids, and they're actually working extensively on that, preparing guidelines, so producers can now actually legally sell and produce these synthetic cannabinoids. The framework will entail from the standards you need to meet in order to be able to get certified and registered. And then there will be also rules applied on how to distribute these products, how to sell them, who can sell them, and what the dosages are, and so on and so on. So certain countries, specifically in this case Czech Republic, is really doing a step forward compared to countries like, for instance, Austria, which was the first one to ban synthetic cannabinoids. And it's really, there's a pattern you can see in all the countries that have strong THC lobby, so Austria being the largest producer of THC clones. Basically, they supply whole Europe with clones that eventually end on the black market. The products end on the black market. Plus, they supply most of the legal cannabis companies with these clones. Like Macedonia, for instance, imports millions of these clones from Austria. This is a country where THC companies or companies involved in this THC business actually lobbied against synthetic cannabinoids. And they achieved this listing very quickly, not very efficiently also because they were rushing into it, so they didn't manage to get all of them listed. And there's now loopholes, you know, people still find ways and molecules that they can use and sell and so on. So in my opinion here, prohibition is again not the right way to go. Regulation should be the way that this thing should go forward. And that maybe on the...
But what happens if Slovenia decides for prohibition?
Right now, nothing is prohibited in Slovenia, so all these...
Synthetic cannabinoids.
Yeah, according to the let's say, opinion from the ministry, these cannabinoids are not illegal. They're legal to sell as chemicals or fragrance products and so on, for instance. But they're actually considering. I mean, we've had the unfortunate. We're in an unfortunate situation where customs, so Ministry of Finances, customs are seizing the packages because they don't know what it is, they don't know how to treat it, and they have no response to our requests to let us know what's going on with the packages. These are the packages that come to us from our customers, so we just do service in this business area. And it's impossible to get to a situation, to a resolution of such situation, because nobody really knows what's going on. Is this legal? Is it not? So ministry thinks it's not illegal. The ministry of, so the customs officers think different, obviously, but they don't communicate it. So in this space, there's a lot of unknown, and therefore the regulating these things would make a lot of sense.
So, and this is one of the reasons that you decided to move your company to Czech Republic?
No, we're just moving a part of the company. So the part that has to do with the service of that we do for these customers. So that part of the production is moving to Czech Republic, and the remainder, so the products, the branded products, what we release on the market is still gonna stay in Slovenia, Ljubljana.
So, Petra Marinko, could we say that there is a chaos on the legislative field? And what does that mean?
I would say that it is. What surprised me when we started was that actually cosmetic industry is more regulated than food supplements, which is kind of ironic because you put stuff into you and it can harm you. And for example, we have a lot of products on the market that come from China with unknown origin, with unknown ingredients inside, that have nothing to do with what they are saying that's inside, which is a really bad thing for all the industry that is doing this. But I think that right regulation should be one thing that Slovenia could lead on, maybe also in Europe, and to be an example of a good practice. We've dealt with a lot of different, for example, a lot of customers come into our shop that we have in Ljubljana, and they come with drops that they bought somewhere on the black market or with someone else, and say, how is this different than your product? You know, I cannot say about anybody how the things are different, but if we regulate it and make rules, okay, you have to have cannabinoid levels checked for every batch, which is really important for a person that uses cannabinoids as a healing addition or cream or something else. I think it would be easier also for customers to get really good products.
Primož Zorec, can we learn something from your story? You're in the market for several years, I suppose. So how did you actually introduce your product regarding that you're in the civil engineering business, building houses? Was that easier?
Far from that. We struggled quite many years to, I think the biggest problem is to gain trust in new materials and new approaches from customers. Because there was a few scientific evidence about advantages of the materials itself, and the materials itself, if I compare to existing regulations, they are only focused on a few parameters, or maybe one. If we are talking about energy efficiency of the buildings, etc. But hemp materials in a building have many more advantages than the existing, let's say, synthetic materials, which are not taken into consideration of when doing the researches and etc. So the biggest struggle was to convince customers that there are many more advantages living in that kind of a building made with hempcrete, hemp insulation, etc. But going deep, through years, we get many more evidences, scientific evidences that confirms our marketing approach, let's say, it's our sales approach. So we started doing new houses. We developed our own systems, which are basically totally natural based, diffusively open, means it regulates moisture. It has many more advantages that are measurable than any other material. So now we are already present in the market from 2017, and we have 3 employees constantly employed. I think we are on a good way to expand now.
Do you have any opportunities to change the legislation, since we are all focuses on the energy efficiency of houses? Maybe you have some bonuses here.
We are already in this process. We will have all the certification in a few months, I guess, regarding our materials and our, let's say, process itself. So it will be totally aligned with the existing legislation. In this way, we are changing things, but we are financing by ourselves everything, and it's getting slower. Otherwise, if we will be financed from some other sources, it will be much easier and faster to gain this. But let's say we already made. Nowadays, we are talking a lot about carbon capture, etc.
I'm sorry to interrupt you right now, but this just in. If anybody here drive a white Audi Q7? Because you're parked in front of a bus and they're upset about it. Yeah, right? Listen, you hotwire it, I'll drive it. We won't be suspicious at all. If you think you know who it is, it's perfect. Okay, perfect. Then we have a solution. Thank you so very much. Carry on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about carbon capture and this environmental impact, etc. So we already made life cycle analysis of our materials and from the National Institute of Building, and it shows that it's carbon negative material. So means I don't see and I don't know about the material that is carbon negative in market. So there are many more advantages that are scientifically proved already, which is in our favor and pushes our sales forward.
So, Luca Freier, we heard about the German model, the second pillar. There are some projects, scientific research. They plan to do that. Would that help Slovenia as well if these products would be involved in some scientific research?
So I've had the chance to speak to a couple of companies in Switzerland who are involved in the pilot programs that have a permit and are already doing something on the. So now I'm referring to the THC market. So Switzerland has a couple of pilot programs. Each jurisdiction decides when they want to do it, and then they give a couple of licenses. We were looking into one of those ourselves. We see ourselves in this market also in the long run, once it starts becoming more, let's say, easier to get in. Now we're also in touch with a couple of German companies which are already working on the so-called getting licenses for cannabis clubs, meaning they can grow for other people, which we could also call like kind of a pilot program from the German government, which is help yourself or have someone to do it for you. And yes, I think this kind of programs are becoming more and more thing that seems to work for other countries. So why not? I think Slovenia could also try with a couple of pilot programs, define really well what they want to achieve, and then not make things too complicated. Make things in a way that even small companies can maybe come, even maybe normal, just regular people with know-how and the proper approach, try and do something on this field, because it seems like fighting this UN treaty and other regulations that prevent governments from changing the law quickly and efficiently is the way to go. Yeah, so I would definitely endorse something like that.
So would you and your company be involved in such a project?
Yes, of course, we would probably.
What kind of study would you be involved in?
So we tried to get licenses for different studies. So as I mentioned, we had received a license to produce medical cannabis in Macedonia in 2017. At that time, Macedonian legislation had a part of the legislation said that you can only plant strains that are on European seed list. That was a complete mistake in their legislation, because you couldn't grow. There was no THC dominant plants on the. So that led us to start a project in Slovenia. We prepared everything with the Faculty of Agronomy and Faculty of Pharmacy in Ljubljana, a really, really quality project, and went to the Ministry of Health to apply for a research license. We wanted to breed new strains, so breeding strains that would eventually be listed on the European seed list, because we've also learned in the process that it's now possible to register strains with high THC in Holland. And so we went with that project to the Ministry of Health, and we were really, surprised with what kind of arrogance we were turned down.
In Slovenia?
In Slovenia, yes.
Who was arrogant to you? Who was the person arrogant?
You want me to name the person, really? Will this be on any news or so? So it was the lady that was responsible at that time, Miss Kerstin Petric. And so her point of view was that only until she is present in the ministry, nobody but government institutes and bodies will be able to do research and or production that involves cannabis.
So what did you do then?
We had to bow down and leave the place. we were actually treated like we were some criminals there almost. And I've had the honor to have 2 professors from the University of Pharmacy in Ljubljana with me and 1 professor from University of Agronomy. And we left with a big, I don't know how to say, with a lump in our throats. Like, it was really hard to digest that because...
Kneadle.
Yeah, kneadle, yeah. Because we really spent a lot of time and put a lot of effort in it. So, yeah. Then we've also applied to ARSO to get funds from the government to get this project approved there or subsidized, and it was the same. No success. We were graded very low with our project.
Petra Marinko, what about your experiences? Not so good ones, I mean.
In what way?
Regarding your production, legislation,
we had a lot
licenses.
of anecdotes that come in this business. Firstly, it was really interesting when we started this. I first went to the health ministry to get information. What can we do? What are the regulations? Please tell me what are the limits and within which limits should we be? And there were no clear answers for this thing. And when we started, we asked, okay, is it legal to put these products on the market? Because we know it's EFSA, European Food Association, has this on a novel food list. Can we actually make food supplements out of this, or is it only cosmetics? And they said, yeah, well, you can do them. It's prohibited to do them. You can do them, and if you make them, then there's no regulation or no law that would give these products out of the market. And I was shocked and with a lump in my throat going out and say it was unimaginable how non-regulated can one substance be. On the other hand, for example, I had an interesting story from our production company and a few others that we talked about at that time. When we came with a list of ingredients that we don't want in our products, we want cannabis, we want other botanical extracts, and there was no problem with rosemary and so on. But there was one thing that is staying in my mind, and that is when I got a question, why are you doing the list of products that you don't want inside? Because this list of products can make your products really cheaper. So your profit will be, instead of this, you'll get this. And I was like, okay, I'm probably the dumbest person in the world, but we have actually made a list of products that of ingredients that we don't want in our products because it's so harmful.
So, Petra, this is like the story of blind leading the blind when you go to the offices. I mean, how do you actually decide what to do?
Business-wise, it's hard because business-wise, you have to look for the profit eventually. But I still believe that connecting people and maybe gather people from different fields and giving a chance, like Luca said before, maybe to regular people that know their stuff. I think that's the way to implement changes into our lives. And for example, Slovenia has a wonderful chance right now with the flooding to show an example of good practice with growing cannabis in all the fields that are heavy polluted with heavy metals that was in the news 14 days ago, and all the pesticides that are in our country. We can actually make Slovenia clean again, and we can do this with this magical plant. It's like, it is magic.
So, Primož Zorec, is there a story or a person in bureaucracy that you dream of from time to time?
I'm a person like I'm trying to eliminate everything from my head that wasn't so okay, but it teaches me usually a lot, and I turn around this experience to move forward. There were some stories. It was one, let's say, funny stories. If I'm going back at my when I was finishing my study, also because I was making already a comparison about from data that were these times from hempcrete and other materials. And one professor, it was doctor, so I mean double doctor, I guess he had a lot of knowledge about materials and everything, asked me, that he was very skeptical about maintaining costs of that kind of building. And he said, when you go from time to time and cut the corner and roll it and smoke it, so the maintaining costs can go up. So it's very funny because smoking lime and hemp can be very harmful but he didn't know, I guess. But in general, let's say in institutions there was a lot of closed doors during years, no subsidies when I was trying to, let's say, help customers to gain subsidies for that kind of building solutions. Mm-hmm. But there are already, because there is an initiative, Care for Climate, which is more and more present in building sector. There are more and more people also in government institutions that are they like very much that kind of bio-based material. So basically, there was a lot of struggle at the beginning, but if you are consistent and move forward. Mm-hmm. I look positive in every aspect of my life.
So is there any question from the public? Q&A, maybe 5 minutes for Q&A, because there was a person who wanted to ask something. Yes.
Wait, I have the microphone. I'm coming.
Tamara Lach Turenshek. Okay.
I would like to ask Luca, actually, about your new artificial cannabinoids that you are doing. Are these molecules that are mimicking natural cannabinoids, or are these endogenous endocannabinoids-like molecules?
Some of these molecules are also produced by the plant because they're produced from CBD with the synthesis and enzymatic processes. You can also change the CBD to these other non-listed cannabinoids, which are not in nature. You don't find them in abundance, at least not. But they're quite easy, and the technology is relatively inexpensive, and the production is cost-effective. And the product is really safe in the end because it's basically just CBD, reagent, solvent usually, and then purification when you get the final result. We're not actually involved in producing any of those. We mostly, we do the service of applying these cannabinoids in a different cannabis materials like flowers, pollen, it's a thing, Tamara. It's a thing now.
I thought you are also using them for some kind of pilot studies somewhere.
No, not, like I said, we're mostly doing service because we have a proprietary technology, which we bought also in Slovenia. I have to say that there is this company, this little startup that made this fantastic machine that we're using. Yeah. And this kind of launched us to the international European markets because the technology is really cool and makes good results. Oh. So many customers find us, and we're scaling this production, and then we do mostly we do the service of, let's say, homogenizing. We're now looking also into pharmaceutical industry, where we could, with this device, we can homogenize, for instance, flowers. When you standardize a cannabis flower, you got the top flowers range between 18 and 20% THC. These flowers you register, and then you can sell them as active pharmaceutical ingredient. But all the lower flowers on the plant are lower in cannabinoids.
Yeah, yeah.
So now this technology allows us to boost or to take the extract from the lower quality plant material and apply it to the material that has less active ingredient, and therefore the producer can really use the whole plant as something. So
really
you can homogenize with this technology. For instance, this is a direction we're looking into right now. Trying to offer our service to some of the medical cannabis companies, because it's also in the medical industry the holy grail is how much THC or how much active ingredient you can give to your customer.
So it's new green technology.
It's a new thing. It's a new thing. Yeah, niche product, niche industry.
Is there any other question? Yes, please. There is a man at the back. Yeah.
I have a question about marketing, because I know that there is sometimes problems to reach the customers. There are some problems with social media in general, banning the marketing of the product. So I'm interested in how do you overcome these problems?
Maybe I can answer this question. It's hard, very hard. For example, on Facebook, with our page Nabi, we cannot even say it's a beautiful sunny day outside and sponsor it because we sell CBD and that's prohibited. And we sell CBD, which is legal, which we can sell in our shop, we can sell it online everywhere, but it's illegal to put a post about this. We tried different approach. We didn't use influencers. It was a special reason for that, and I'm not that sorry that we didn't. And we tried in Slovenia, for example, we did some interesting moves that were not known here. For example, we were selling our products in 90 drogerie market shops or 100 in Slovenia, which is a big thing to be in every village in Slovenia. And nobody knew about us. So we made a product which were a pack of gummies that cost €7 and something. And the big pack that costs, I don't know, 20. And to approach the customers, we did the small packaging, which was totally unprofitable for us because of the packaging and the aluminum boxes and everything. It's expensive. So we kind of did the marketing part with this kind of product, and it showed up that people are buying the small packages because it's not that much money to try products, and the next month the people were buying, I don't know, the sale of the big package was tripled 4 times. So it was growing eventually, and we gathered a lot of customers in this way. And another interesting story was since we didn't put a lot of money into the marketing, into the paper, I don't know, newspapers and so on, we invested this into giving away our products. So the customer has its own experience to unpack it, to try it in the safety of their home, to see that there's no THC inside. I don't feel any bad reactions out of it. And people started buying our stuff because of that. So for example, we gave away 500 gummies or gave away 500 body oils to people to try it. And we got actually 80% repurchase out of that. So that was a big thing for any cosmetic product. We know women never change their cream, and we kind of did that. So I think you can do it. It's hard also because, for example, we didn't even try to beat Google. We could do that with a lot of expenses and everything. We didn't even try it. But we showed up in every conference that there was. So we were there, we were trying to educate people, we tried to approach newspapers with informative content that they need for their newspapers, and so on. So it was, it's kind of more talking about the plant, about the cleanliness of the product, than how our product is good. I never spoke about how good is our product. I speak about ingredients and the mixes, and mostly what is harmful. And people are really eager to know about this.
Thank you so much. Go. Did you want to say something very quickly?
No, just half of the sentence, because you came. I just wanted to say that we saw that maybe the emerging cannabis opportunities for Slovenians are startups, spin-offs, together with universities. Maybe if you agree, that would be maybe the conclusion. And that's your word.
Thank you so very much. Let's hear it once again for our whole panel. We're going to take a 15-minute break. We have coffees and croissants out there. Please go to the exhibitor hall. Please check out some of the exhibits. Petra will be in there. You can talk to her about Navier and all the other things. And donate to the Lions Club to help the flood victims. We'll be here in 15 minutes, 15:45. We'll be right back. Thank you.